Hey, so you've gone solar. That's fantastic. You've made a huge investment in your home. But here's the thing. A few simple, kind of hidden mistakes can turn that whole dream into a really expensive nightmare. So today, we're going to break down the 7 biggest mistakes we see first-timers make and show you exactly how to avoid them. You're going to want to stick around for this. I know that's a scary question, but we have to ask it. A lot of new solar owners, and they're excited, they just overlook some basic safety rules of DC electricity. And this isn't just about getting the most power, this is about preventing a total catastrophic failure. And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. We're not talking about losing a few watts of power during the day. We are talking about completely fried equipment, having to replace your entire battery bank, stuff that can easily cost you over $7,500. The good news is all of this is preventable. And that really gets to the heart of it. A solar system, it's not just plug and play. It's actually a high-stakes math problem. And understanding the hidden limits of all your gear is absolutely the key to avoiding a disaster. I mean, on the surface, it looks pretty simple, right? You've got panels, a battery, and an inverter. But all those parts are in this delicate dance. Each one has a maximum voltage it can take, a max current it can handle, and if you ignore those limits, well, that's exactly where the trouble starts. So let's just jump right in with mistake number 1. This happens right at the beginning, how you wire your solar panels. It's the most basic connection, but it's where one of the most common and costly errors happens. Okay, so you've got 2 main ways to wire your panels: series and parallel. Think of series wiring like stacking batteries in a flashlight. You connect the positive of one to the negative of the next. When you do that, the voltage of each panel adds up. Now with parallel, you connect all the positive terminals together and all the negative terminals together. This time, the current adds up, but the voltage stays the same as just one panel. And here are the trade-offs. If you go with series, you get that higher voltage, which is great. It means you can use thinner, cheaper wire, especially if you have a long run back to the house. But the risk? That super high voltage can literally, instantly fry your charge controller. On the other hand, parallel gives you a ton of current, which means you need really thick, really expensive wires, and you risk overloading your controller's current limit. See? Each way has a serious pitfall. So what's the fix? You have to find the right balance. For almost every system, the answer is a combination of both. You'll wire a few panels in series to get the voltage up, creating a string. Then you'll connect multiple strings in parallel to get the current up. The goal is always to get the most power you can while staying safely underneath both the voltage and the current limits of your charge controller. So step 1, always, is to check that spec sheet. All right, let's move on to the next big group of mistakes. These all come down to sizing your components correctly. This is where you really have to plan for what happens in the real world, not just what it says on the box on a perfect sunny day. And this one catches so many people off guard. Here's a little secret of solar panels. They actually produce higher voltage when they're cold. It's just a basic property of how they work, but it's something almost no one thinks about. Which leads us straight to mistake number 2. You hear this story all the time. Somebody installs their system in July, it works perfectly for months, then that first really cold, frosty morning of winter hits, and their very expensive charge controller is just dead. Why? Because the voltage coming from those cold panels spiked way above the controller's limit, and poof, game over. The fix here is all about planning ahead. You've got to look at your panel's spec sheet and find a number called open circuit voltage, or VOC. Then go look up the coldest temperature ever recorded in your town. Seriously. You have to calculate what the panel's voltage will be at that record low temperature, and then make absolutely sure your charge controller is rated to handle at least 10 to 15% more than that. That's your safety margin. It is critical. All right, mistake number 3 is all about the heart of your off-grid system, the battery. This is usually the single most expensive piece of equipment you'll buy. And if you treat it badly, you're just lighting thousands of dollars on fire. So how do you get it right? This little formula is your best friend. First, figure out your daily energy use in watt hours. Then you divide that by your battery's voltage multiplied by its recommended depth of discharge, or DOD. Now listen up, because this is key. With modern lithium batteries, you can usually use 80, maybe 90% of their capacity. But with old school lead-acid batteries, it's often only 50%. If you drain them deeper than that, you will destroy them in no time. Which brings us to mistake number 4, forgetting about voltage drop. You can think of this as the silent killer of your system's efficiency, and it's also a major fire risk. Basically, it's the power that just gets wasted and turns into heat when electricity travels through wires that are too long or too thin. The fix is pretty simple, at least in theory. You have to use thicker wires. The rule is, the longer your wire run and the higher the current, the thicker that wire needs to be. You should always do the math and calculate your voltage drop. You want to keep it below 3%. If it's any higher than that, you're not just throwing away precious solar power, you're literally creating a fire hazard as those undersized wires get dangerously hot. Okay, let's wrap this up with the final set of mistakes. These are the things that often happen right at the end of the installation, but trust me, they are just as crucial for the safety and the performance of your system down the road. First up in this last group, mistake number 5, picking the wrong inverter. Remember, the inverter's job is to take that DC power from your batteries and turn it into the AC power that your appliances actually use. But not all inverters are created equal, not even close. So there are 2 main types you'll see. The cheaper ones are called modified sine wave. They produce a really choppy, blocky electrical signal that can and will damage sensitive electronics. I'm talking laptops, TVs, even some modern fridges. What you need for a home is a pure sine wave inverter. It costs more, yeah, but it produces clean, perfect power that's safe for everything. For a home system, it is the only real choice. Mistake number 6 is, and I'm not exaggerating, completely non-negotiable. It's skipping fuses and breakers. Doing this is like deciding to drive your car without any brakes. If there's ever a short circuit, these things are designed to be the weakest link. They blow on purpose to save all your expensive gear and, more importantly, to prevent a fire. They are the cheapest, best insurance you will ever buy for your system, period. And our final mistake, number 7, is one you might not expect. It's oversizing your system because you're scared of not having enough. Look, a little safety margin is smart, but buying a much, much bigger inverter or way more batteries than you need isn't just more expensive. It can actually be less efficient. Use the formulas we talked about, figure out what you actually need, and build the right system for you. Okay, I know we've covered a ton of ground, so let's just boil this all down to a super simple, actionable safety checklist you can go use on your own system right now. Here are the absolute must-haves. You must have a fuse or a breaker between your solar panels and your charge controller. You absolutely need one between your battery bank and your inverter. Before you turn anything on, please double-check that every single wire is the right size for the job. And finally, go around and check that every single connection is wrench tight. A loose connection creates resistance, and resistance creates a ton of heat. I want to leave you with one last critical safety warning. Unlike the AC power in your house, which actually stops and starts 120 times a second, DC power from a battery is constant. It never stops. If you create a gap in a live DC circuit, the electricity will try to jump that gap. It creates a sustained high-temperature plasma arc that will not go out until it has literally melted whatever's in its path. It is incredibly dangerous. Always, always, always de-energize your system before you work on it. Look, by avoiding just these 7 mistakes, you're going to save yourself thousands of dollars, you'll get way more out of your solar investment, and most importantly, you'll keep your home and your family safe. So now that you know all this, what's the very first thing you're going to go check on your system?